It was a typical Friday evening, warm and buzzing with energy. The house was filled with music, laughter, and the subtle hum of conversation as friends gathered for a casual get-together. I had arrived with my wife, Maya, expecting a calm night of chatting and light drinks, but almost instantly I sensed something off. An unusual glint in her eyes, a mischievous energy that I hadn't seen in a while. She thrived in the spotlight, but tonight it wasn't just charm, it was provocation. Before I could even greet her properly, she leaned in loud enough for everyone around to hear and said with a smirk, "You know, my ex was bigger and better than you." Her words landed like a sharp whip. The room froze mid-laughter. Whispers rippled around us, and for a split second, I felt a sting. But instead of reacting, I inhaled slowly, letting the tension linger. In my calmness lay the first spark of power, a signal that I wasn't about to play her game. The silence that followed was almost cinematic. Guests paused, unsure of whether to laugh, gasp, or pretend they hadn't heard. Maya's smirk widened, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. She expected me to stumble, to turn red, to respond defensively, perhaps even angrily. I could see her calculating the effect her words would have, the thrill of humiliating me in front of everyone. But instead, I stayed quiet, measured. My mind raced calmly, carefully choosing the perfect words that wouldn't just reply, but dominate the moment with authority. I had learned long ago that composure in the face of provocation is far more unsettling than any shouting or argument. Then finally, I spoke slowly, deliberately, with a tone so calm it made the room feel heavier. "If he was really bigger and better, then it's his loss for not keeping you." My words were quiet, almost understated, but their impact was immediate. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Glasses paused in the air, and every eye in the room turned toward us. Maya's smirk faltered. Her confidence, previously unshakable, wavered in the presence of my cold, unwavering calm. She hadn't expected this. She had expected drama, humiliation, or anger, but not a reply that was entirely under control, elegant in its precision and devastating in subtlety. I didn't rush to fill the silence that followed. I held her gaze steadily, unblinking, letting the truth sink in like a cold wave. The energy in the room shifted palpably. Friends who had been casually chatting now watched, sensing a sudden power reversal. Maya's confidence began to crumble as she realized her joke, intended to embarrass me, had completely misfired. Instead of giving her the reaction she desired, I had delivered calm authority, the kind that commands attention without needing to raise your voice. The very weapon she wielded, mockery, had been rendered useless. I leaned slightly closer, my tone soft but sharp, almost playful, and added, "You chose to be here with me tonight. All the rest doesn't matter." The subtlety of the words cut deeper than any shout could have. Maya blinked, caught off guard, struggling to regain her footing. The laughter that had been ready to roll off her tongue died in her throat. The room, too, felt the shift. Everyone sensed that the balance had changed. I wasn't defending myself. I was dismantling her theatrics with calm, quiet power. My control over the moment was complete, and she realized it instantly. Her mischievous energy vanished. The playful dominance she thought she had over me was gone in an instant. She tried to recover, her lips twitching into an attempted laugh, but it fell flat. Guests around us exchanged subtle glances, some impressed, some shocked, all captivated. I had turned what could have been a humiliating attack into a public assertion of quiet authority. The juxtaposition was stark, her expected triumph replaced by stunned silence. The room felt frozen, hanging on the moment where she realized she had miscalculated completely. Minutes passed, but the tension didn't fade. Maya kept glancing around the room, aware that everyone had noticed the reversal. Her body language shifted, her posture stiffened, her gestures careful, her teasing energy drained. I didn't need to speak again. The single calm response had said everything. I had demonstrated that confidence, composure, and the ability to respond without impulsive emotion carry far more weight than any argument or insult ever could. Every detail, the pause, the eye contact, the steady tone, was a deliberate lesson in control and presence. Later that evening, even as laughter resumed and guests mingled, the impact of that single exchange lingered. Maya was quieter, more reserved, clearly replaying the scene in her mind. She realized that her words, intended as a playful jab, had been met with precise authority, leaving her exposed not publicly, but subtly in front of everyone who mattered. The vanished smirk, the faint flicker of disbelief in her eyes, and the silence of the room spoke louder than any confrontation could have. It was a perfect lesson in timing, restraint, and strategic calm. By the end of the night, the energy between us had shifted permanently. Maya no longer attempted to assert dominance through jokes or taunts, and I had reclaimed my respect and authority without ever raising my voice. The guests, unaware of all the subtleties, still carried a sense of awe, whispering about how the situation had completely flipped. The quiet, composed response had not only left her speechless, but also left a lasting impression on everyone present. That night, I reflected on what had truly happened. It wasn't about humiliating her, winning an argument, or making a scene. It was about presence, confidence, and the quiet, devastating power of composure. One cold, calm reply had exposed the truth, reversed the dynamics, and stunned everyone around, including her. Sometimes the most powerful impact isn't through loud confrontation, but through deliberate, measured action that leaves others frozen, questioning, and fully aware of the authority you hold. That moment was mine, and it would be remembered far longer than any fleeting joke or insult ever.